Don't. You did spell time. We call this meeting of Hilltoppers Toastmasters to order. We will begin with our pledge, which will be led by our treasurer, Justin Beach.
We all rise to the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For club business, we have, unless somebody wants to bring something forward.
Did you get the message about them taking us off of TLI?
Yes, I.
Did you deal with it?
I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you.
For those of you who don't know, we're having some issues with TLI that we're working through. So for right now, TLI is Total Leadership Institute. It's the Toastmasters webpage. So for right now, we're having with those issues. Once they're resolved, we'll be able to accept payments for dues. So if you haven't renewed until we get this resolved, we will have to do dues over the phone only. So it's a slightly longer process than just doing it on the internet like we had in the past. But we are getting it resolved as quickly as we can. Other than that, does somebody have something they would like to bring forward as club business? If not, then I'll now introduce our Toastmaster for this evening. He has recently completed his Competent Communicator, has served successfully as one of our vice presidents for the last few months. He is also now beginning to work on his interviewing and interviewee skills as part of video presentations as his next major accomplishment inside Toastmasters Communication Series. Our Toastmaster this evening is Cody Broussard.
Welcome everyone. So we have a few guests tonight, so thank you for attending and welcome to all fellow Toastmasters. So today we're going to start by going over the agenda. So we have for timer, Ewing, can you explain the role of the timer?
Timer speak. For the speech, from 5 minutes to 7. This is 5 minutes. This is 6 minutes. This is 7 minutes. Help a speaker control their time. For the table topics, 1 minute. This is 1 minute. This is 1:30. So 2 minutes. For the evaluator, 2 minutes. 2:30, 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Ewing, for that description of timer role. Now we also have a grammarian. Rachel is our grammarian tonight. Can you give us an idea of what the grammarian does?
Sure. The grammarian's role is to review the language used in the meeting and make sure that we're adhering to grammar rules, as well as count filler words and present and count the word of the day. And today's word of the day is arcane. It's an adjective meaning secret, mysterious, difficult, or impossible to understand. Ephron's beloved was initially protected by New York City's arcane rent control laws, which were revised during her tendency to gradually raise the ludicrously small rent of such luxury housing stock to better reflect its real market value. So arcane meaning secret, mysterious, difficult, or impossible to understand.
Thank you, Rachel. We also have evaluators for today. David, do you want to kind of explain the general evaluator and the role of the other evaluator?
The general evaluator will evaluate the overall
group of the meeting to see how the both speeches worked, as well as the evaluators themselves and how they do their evaluations. The timer's duties and the grammarian also fall under my responsibility, so I'll have a large portion of that towards the end when we start evaluating all the sections.
All right, thank you, Dave. Okay, that goes over all our roles. Now I'll introduce our first speaker for tonight, and that is going to be John, and he's doing his icebreaker speech, correct? All right, let's welcome John.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. The title of my speech this evening is What is Family? What is family to you? What is family to you? Family for me means many good things. For some others, it may be a little bit more arcane than that. I was raised in a family of 4. I had a father who looked very, very similar to Lawrence, and his name was Lawrence. So I have many common denominators with my friend here. I had a mother, her name was Clara. I met her when I was 8 years old. You may wonder, how did you meet your mom when you were 8 years old? Well, my mom was an alcoholic until I was 8 years old. After 8, she got sober. And I feel like I honestly met my mother at that time, because before that, she wasn't the same person. I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania, in the cornfields, potato fields, and wheat fields. I worked in those fields from 12 to 15. I enjoyed working in the fields. I enjoyed the outdoors. I played a lot of baseball. I rode dirt bikes. I played with my little brother, Michael. When I was 21, I left Northeast Pennsylvania with a broken heart, a woman from my past. When I was younger, I always said to myself, I want to live where other people vacation. So when I was 21, I did that. I moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I lived a dream of living where other people vacation. I never understood why you live somewhere cold or boring, or a place where you really didn't enjoy living. Something that's very easy to change, something very easy to adapt and modify. For me, it wasn't a really big deal to pick my life up and just move it to another place. A lot of people were scared to do that one, or afraid of that change. But I embraced it. I enjoyed it. I lived in Myrtle Beach for the first 5 years, very happy. I enjoyed the exact thing I moved there for. A lot of fun in the summertime, very peaceful and quiet in the wintertime. But after about 5 years, it kind of got old. It got mundane. It was the same thing every summer. 3 million people come to your town, and at the end of the summer, 3 million people leave your town. And you're back to just a very small local population. When I was 28, I met my wife, Christine. We moved out to Canada at the request of her mom and dad, who had moved out there for work. They were having a tough time adjusting to the Canadian lifestyle, which seems kind of hard because it's a pretty calm and cool lifestyle. But they were, a little bit different. They wanted a little bit more action. So they asked us to move out there and have family a little bit closer. And we reluctantly at first accepted that invitation and moved out to Canada, in Vancouver. After about 6 months, Canada said, yeah, you're here illegally and you need to go home. So that's what we did. We moved across the border back to the United States. It was a great move for us, a little bit costly, but it worked out well for all of us. After about 2 years there, we decided that we wanted to start having children. And unfortunately in Washington, it is extremely expensive to live. It didn't really make sense to us to try and raise our kids and struggle to do so at the same time. So we decided to move back to the South, where my wife is from, and where I had lived for 10 years after I turned 21. At the time we moved to Mobile, which helped me to come here today to Hilltoppers Toastmasters. So when you ask me, what is family? Well, family is everything to me. It has helped me to create who I am today and to steer myself in the direction in which I have come here to Mobile. And once you really understand the importance of family, and you kind of understand where I come from and what is most important to me. And once again, I'd like to thank you very much for giving us time to speak today. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, John, for that speech. I always enjoy our icebreakers because I get to know a little bit more about my fellow Toastmasters, so it's always exciting to hear those. I think John did very good. Okay, for our next speaker for tonight, we're going to have Lawrence Prompton, and he's doing a communication on video where he's the host. And the title of this speech for tonight is The World of Beautiful People. And do you have a person you're interviewing with? Or is it? Oh, okay. And okay, so what's your name?
Nina.
Nina. Okay, so Lawrence and Nina will be doing their speech tonight. So let's give a hand for Lawrence. Thank you.
Just a quick background. This is a simulated talk show. Okay? So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of A World of Beautiful People. Does anyone here have stress in their life? Yes, all of us do. Are there times when so many thoughts are in your head, you don't even know which way is up? Has anyone here ever desired to be able to just sit down and relax in a calm place? Well, I'm sure all of us do. Well, tonight I have good news. Our guest this evening is one of Mobile's foremost authorities on mindfulness, meditation, and loving kindness. Dr. Nina Nimmitt, who has been meditating for over 15 years, is a certified middle way meditation coach. She received her education at the Middle Way Foundation and the Theravada tradition in Thailand. She has a bachelor's degree in biology and chemistry and completed medical school at the University of South Alabama. She is currently a psychiatry resident at the University of South Alabama, and she plans on doing child and adolescent psychiatry fellowship in the very near future. Dr. Nina is committed to improving the mental well-being of others and wishes to spread the knowledge of meditation and inner peace to all of our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you one of the best friends a person could ever have, the talented, distinguished, and mindful Dr. Nina Nimmitt. Dr. Nina, your mother actually started the Alabama the Meditation Center of Alabama. And I'm kind of interested on why she created this and actually what it is. Of course, what is the cost of their meditating at the center?
So the Meditation Center of Alabama is a nonprofit organization in Mobile, Alabama. She simply created it out of the desire to want to help other people find inner peace and happiness, regardless of their race or religion or whatever we identify ourselves with on the outside. But that inside, if you look inside, we can all find the same peace and happiness inside, and we hope that through our efforts we can help other people find that and teach them how to attain it.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So, I understand that your family is Buddhist. Do you teach Buddhism at the center, or do you have to be Buddhist in order to attend the meditation center?
We do teach Buddhist concepts, but I think Buddhism is somewhat misunderstood by a lot of people. Buddhism is kind of a philosophy or a way of life. It wasn't really meant to be a religion. The Buddha didn't want anyone to really bow down to him or respect him or even make a religion after him, but simply you can imagine like Isaac Newton discovered the law of gravity. He was underneath the apple tree and the apple fell on his head, and this is a law that everyone is susceptible to no matter what we look like and no matter what we call ourselves. The same as the Buddha, he discovered through the stillness of his mind, he was able to see the truths of the world, the spiritual truths. So basically, things that we are all susceptible to. For example, doing good gets good, doing bad gets bad.
No.
So we do teach these concepts, and you do not have to be Buddhist. There are millions of people in this world who, lots of people might call themselves Christian, but there are very few people who call themselves Christian and Muslim. But there are millions of practicing Buddhists in America, just people who might read about Buddhism or people who might learn how to meditate. And though they may not call themselves Buddhists, then they are practicing Buddhist practices. So everyone can practice.
It's true. And in my study of religion, I've also noticed that every major religion has meditation as part of their spiritual practice. So what is meditation, and what is your goal in teaching meditation?
Meditation is simply, actually we all do it all the time. You might not call it meditation, but it's just kind of where you're focused on one thing, and just like John just gave an excellent speech, and he was focused on his speech and he wasn't bothered by other things. Being in the moment, being in the present moment, and not being distracted by the past and by the future. So we spend, psychologists say, 40% of our thoughts in the past and 50% of our thoughts worrying about the future. So we're really only spending a very short amount of time in the present moment with what we're doing. So meditation allows us to really just like let go, relax, and let go of all the things that you might be worrying and just enjoy the present moment. And there are different techniques such as following the breath or visualization, things to calm our mind. The mind is like a monkey, it's always going to jump around. But even a monkey can sit down if you give it a banana. So the mind is the same way. If you give the mind something to do, like to focus on the breath or an object of meditation, then the mind can achieve a sense of inner peace and clarity. So you can imagine, or maybe this is too long, but the mind is like a glass of water. And when we're born, it's like bright and pure. And if I put a rose behind that water, you can easily touch the beauty around you. You can easily see the beauty around you. But what happens is as we get older, sometimes we have maybe some dirt in our glass, some failures, competition, stress, and we never quite learned to allow things to just be and let go. So meditation is simply doing nothing at all by letting go and placing the glass down. And you can imagine that slowly but surely the mud will sink to the bottom, and the things will become more clear in your life, the problems in your life, and the causes of the problems, and then you can do something about it so you can live a more peaceful life. It has nothing to do with religion. It's peace. If you practice meditation, then you will be able to make better decisions for yourself and your family members. So in essence, you will become a better brother, a better sister, a better Christian, a better Hindu, a better Muslim, a better Buddhist. It is not about religion at all. It is simply the language of peace.
Okay, you told me that you had a quick 30-second demonstration of mindfulness.
Okay.
Would you like to try to do that?
Sure. So I'll just, I guess, teach you a breathing exercise, and you can do this anytime. You can just sit back and relax. We're just going to simply follow our breath. And you can just begin to breathe in deeply. You can close your eyes if you like. You can keep them open. Just taking a deep breath in, long and deep, and exhaling away all of your stress and tension. Just begin to take slow, deep breaths. Just appreciating your breath. Almost as if a baby, when you see a baby breathe, very relaxed and comfortable, its stomach rises and falls. So you can just follow the rise and fall of your stomach. Very relaxed and comfortable. Just appreciating your breath. So many people did not wake up today, but how lucky we are to just be able to breathe. So just notice your breath and be curious about your breath. Breathing in deeply, 5 to 10 times in your own. And just notice if your mind wanders, Just gently bring it back to the breath. You can take another slow, deep breath. Just taking a few slow, deep breaths as you gently stretch your hands and feet and slowly come back to this room. That's just a simple mindfulness exercise that you can do anywhere.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Nina. I really appreciated your coming and visiting with us, and I wish I had more time to talk. Thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to hear more about it, then please talk to Dr. Nina after the show.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really good. I feel a lot more relaxed now. I feel more calm.
And that's arcane.
Yes. John's on it too. All right, so that ends the speaking portion for Toastmasters tonight. Now we're going to go into a lot of our favorite area, and that is table topics. And our table topics master for tonight is Rin Bartlett.
Hello, hello, hello. Who's excited for table topics?
I am.
Who volunteers? You're the man. Come on up. You will enjoy this one. Sell me this pen. Oh. I wasn't ready yet. We have to shake hands. Okay.
Thank you, Table Topics
Yes,
Master. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, this is a BIC. It's a blue ink pen. Mr. Bartlett, when was the last time that you were able to sign a document so perfectly crafted without the pen redrawing back its ink so it left a gap in the motion, and you just fluently made this beautiful masterpiece of a signature? When was the last time you were able to do that?
Can't recall.
This pen can bring you back to that amazing feeling you had back when you had that last signature. Wouldn't that feel great?
Would.
Would you like this pen?
I would.
I'd be willing to sell this pen to you for the very low price today of 195 cents.
Got $1.95.
Sold.
Excellent. Next volunteer, please. Lane. Yes. Come on up. You just bought this pen. How will you use it?
Thank you. All right. Toastmaster, distinguished Brett, yes. Thanks for having us out tonight. So I just bought this pen, right? And it's a nice pen. I really like the fact that it's blue ink. Did you know that most professional documents, whenever you send them out, it really grabs people's attention when it's blue ink as opposed to black ink? Did you know that? So what I will use for this pen, I actually write a lot of thank you cards, and I think that it's going to do a very good job catching people's attention whenever I send them a thank you card for maybe I just met with them, maybe we did some business together. So if I can write out, you know, a nice little short and sweet thank you card and send that to them, I think that this pen will really do its job. So thank you for the pen.
Next volunteer, Cody, come on up. You've just watched
Lane purchased this pen, what are your thoughts on his purchase?
So I watched Lane get sold on a very nice pen from the exterior though, but he never actually used it to write anything. He never tested it out. He didn't test drive his pen before he purchased it. So I'm not really sure if it, it actually writes. Let me try it out here on Ren's book. Oh yeah, so it writes pretty good. So I think he made a wise purchase. So I've did an analysis on that and vetted his purchase, and I think he's on the right track in his pen purchasing. Now, I don't know, this is kind of the type of pen that typically people maybe get given to for free, or if you're going to maybe buy a big pack and bulk, maybe you're a waiter, and people steal your pens all the time. So, if I was going to purchase a pen myself, I'd probably get something a little nicer. So when you go to maybe sign a document, you have a client in-house, you can really kind of show off your signature in the pen. So it's kind of the last thing the client remembers of you as you sign the document. But all in all, it works, does its job, so I think he did a good job at purchasing it.
One more volunteer. Volunteer. John. Do we have time for one more or two more? Two more, perfect. John, do you insure the pen? If so, what kind of coverage are you considering?
Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, I would like to talk about the warranty policy which I am willing to sell. Right? I want you to know that this has a 2-year extended warranty on it, but only if you use your Citibank Visa card. Now listen, this warranty is unlike anything else in the industry, okay? It's going to give you 2% every time you write with this pen, and we'll give you 2% back on whatever you purchase with that writing, okay? Now if you're buying a car, or if you're buying a home, or if you're just buying an insurance policy, 2% can be a lot. Think about buying a house and signing your documents with this pen and getting 2% back on it. And that all comes with this warranty, okay? Now you gotta really listen, Mike. You need to focus here, okay? This is amazing. 2% coming back to you, 2%. So buy a $100,000 house, how much you get back? 2%. $2,000, exactly, $2,000. And I am willing to sell you this warranty on this pen for a very, very low price of $1,500.46. Okay? Now you may think I'm just pulling that number out of the air, but I'm not. Because we've done hard analysis on this pen, and that's exactly how much on the average return is for using this pen. But think about it, the potential. You could use society. Thank you.
Last volunteer. Lawrence, come on up. You found the pen, Lane dropped it, you didn't give it back. You're now on this pen for 10 years. Lane circles back around and feels that the pen is very valuable to him and he'd really like to get it back. He's going to offer you $100,000 for this pen. Tell him why you're not selling it to him.
You know, Lynn, I've really become so attached to this pen. Do you know why? There's another reason that wasn't mentioned before on why you use a blue pen. Now, when you copy anything, a blue pen has a unique color that cannot be copied. Just like yellow cannot be copied, so that you can't counterfeit money on a copier. A blue pen can't be used and copied exactly the same blue as the pen, so that you can't counterfeit documents that somebody might have signed, but they didn't really sign. If they signed it with a black pen, then it can be copied and it looks like a black pen. But if you sign it with blue, Even a color copier will be different. So, that is why I absolutely refuse to return your pen.
Counterfeit $100,000 bill right here.
That's going to conclude our table topic portion for this evening. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Ren, for leading table topics. Really enjoyed that. Nicely done, and using one item for all the topics. Very good. Thank you. So, moving on, we're going to welcome our general evaluator for the meeting, David.
Thank you, Cody. First, we're going to cover the speech evaluations. Once we cover the speech evaluations, we'll go into everybody's times. The grammarian will give us our grammarian report, the word of the day, how many words were counted, or how many times we used arcane, how many ahs, ums, filler words were used, and then give her report on what she felt, and then I'll come back up and we'll give a general evaluation of how the meeting went. So our first evaluator is going to be Thomas, evaluating John's speech on his, forgot the name of the speech. Write it down.
So John's speech, what is family? I have a lot of notes about all the things that he did really well. It was very impressive. And if I hadn't come as far as I have, I would probably be very intimidated after having watched John give his icebreaker speech. He spoke clearly, had a good rhythm to his speech, as well as he didn't speed up or slow down throughout the speech. He stated a constant rhythm, constant speed, which made it way easier to follow and see the beginning, the middle, and the end. I felt that we got to know at least one side of John very well, the side that all is about his family and how the various types of family that he's had through his life have helped him become who he is today. It didn't appear that he used notes. In fact, I didn't even see him bring notes up here, which actually also speaks to the level of preparation for it to flow so smoothly in a very chronological way. Shows a level of preparation that is very inspiring. He did have a definitive opening, body, and conclusion. He opened, I took his opening after he introduced his speech as a second opening, and that second opening where he asked us more or less to reflect on what we thought the meaning of family was to us. I thought it was a really good way to have us start engaging in the speech. And then it was a bunch of fun, personal stories. And then ending by telling us your answer to those questions at the beginning. Very great way to tie it back to the beginning of the speech that I thought was very well thought out and good. The only thing that I would say you could have used notable improving is instead of introducing your speech by saying the title of my speech is just to start it with those questions. And we very quickly would have figured out that your speech was about what is family, because the question really brought that to the forefront of our mind anyways. The thing I liked the most about your presentation, though, was your calm delivery, where it didn't seem like you had any nerves whatsoever while you were up here. You may have, but from my perspective, and probably many people here, it didn't look like you had any. You were in complete control, and I think that was the best aspect of your icebreaker. Mr. Evaluator.
I'm going to give a little more of an evaluation at the end. I just wanted to mention that I lived in Myrtle Beach from 01 to 08, so I know exactly what you're talking about. 200,000 people. So Memorial Day, the wall lifts. 200,000 people a week on Saturdays. You didn't want to go up 501 on Saturday and stayed off of it. Then Labor Day, the wall comes back down, shuts everything off. You got the bikers and the golfers until about this time of year, and this huge wall goes up, and it's a ghost town until February when the bikers and the golfers come back. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Our next evaluator is Lane. He is going to evaluate Lawrence's speech on his interview.
All right. I'm Lane, and I'm going to be evaluating my pen pal. So a little upset because you actually didn't give me my pen back when I asked for it. So I have to be a little harsh here. So I think Lawrence did a great job. First question is, how well prepared was the speaker? Very. So, you know, I would have liked a little less reliance on notes when you were doing the interview, just to make it feel a little bit more natural and a questioning back and forth. But other than that, I think you were very well spoken and had some excellent questions. So how effectively did the speaker lead the interview? Were the questions clear? Were they in a logical sequence? I think the questions were very clear and led to a good conversation. The progressive sequence of the questioning, so, you know, generally starting out, what do you do, what it is, and then leads on further from that. So I think that was very progressive. What was the guest field of experience? From what I gathered, she was an expert in the field of meditation. So the introduction was very clear as to what it is and what it costs, so I like that. Did the speaker appear relaxed, confident, poised? Were gestures, body movements appropriate for the special requirements of the video? Yes. As we all know, Lawrence always speaks very clearly and with excellent emphasis. I like the way that his voice varies from time to time. It really keeps my attention. His hand gestures also keep my attention. So, you know, he's very, very vibrant up here. So how well did the speaker relate to the camera and the studio audience? Made good contact with all the members of the audience, and then also looked at the camera from time to time. How did the speaker's appearance, clothing, makeup, etc. affect your impression of the presentation? I really think that the coffee mug would have helped. You know, I see that a lot in late night interviews, and I think I could have used that a little bit better. As far as dressing nicely, this is the best I've seen Lawrence dress, so I think that helped with the presentation as a talk show host. How effectively do I believe the speaker would have been had it been a real talk show? I would watch that. I would watch a talk show with Lawrence as the host. So, as always, I think he does a great job, and he's always very entertaining to watch. That's my presentation. So. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Lawrence, I really enjoyed the speech as well. I'm sure we're going to find out that your time was probably pretty far over, but you had a very good guest that was given great information, so we'll forgive you for that. Ian, if you could give us the timers report, please.
Everyone control the timer. First speaker John is 4 minutes 30 seconds. The second speaker Lawrence is speaker part is 7:30, and totally is 9 minutes 38. For the table tops, the first one, David, so use 1 minute 15 seconds. Second one then use 45 seconds. Cody, 1 minute 15 seconds. John, 1 minute 26 seconds. Lawrence, 1 minute 9 seconds. Evaluate first, the evaluator Thomas use 2 minutes 29 seconds. Lynn is 2 minutes 24 seconds.
Thank you, Ian. Rachel, if you could give us the grammarian report, please.
Sure. Cody, you had about 6 so's tonight and just 1 ah. Yu Ying, I counted maybe 3 ums and 1 or 2 ahs. David, I didn't I have one two ahs, and two so's. John, two arcanes. Yes. And, oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself there. You had no ums and just a few run-on sentences perhaps thrown in there. Lawrence, one so and two wells. During your speech, I'm sorry. Ren, as the table topics master, I didn't hear any filler words. David, during your table topics, no filler words. Lane, three so's, one you know, and one all right. During your table topics, three so's and one you know. John, during your table topics, three okays. Lawrence, two so's during your table topics. Thomas, during your evaluation, I counted two so's. And Lane, during your evaluation, you had about three so's, four ahs and ums, and one you know.
Okay.
And I'm willing to bet that I had a few ahs and ums in there myself.
Very good, Rachel. Very, very thorough.
Sorry about
Perfect example.
Right, I mean,
Perfect
if we had an education on a grammarian report, that is exactly how it should be presented. That was seriously, that best grammarian report I've ever heard. That's awesome. The overall meeting, I thought everything went real well. Looks like everybody hit their times. We were a little long on one, but in the interview process that can happen. And we were short on one table topic by just about 10 or 12 seconds. I think we could forgive those for those who injured those times. That's okay. The rest of everybody else did really well. Your speech for an icebreaker, without having any ums, ahs, filler words, I mean, great job. You're going to do really well in Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters about the same time Christine did in the downtown club, and I don't know how much she's been doing, but I've been out for what, 6 months. I was gone for almost all summer, so I'm hoping to get back in this and do a lot better. But again, great meeting. Looks like we're on time. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the meeting back over to our Toastmasters.
Now we will move on to the educational overview for tonight. Thomas, you had something? Okay.
Okay, so for those who haven't been looking at this is the current month Toastmasters magazine. The very back, page 27, it talks about something that I find to be possibly the hardest part about making a speech. Coming up with what I want to talk about. It gives 5 quick pointers of ways to help you brainstorm. So I'm going to go over 3 of them real quickly, and then one of them I'm going to talk to you why I think this is the best one of them all. The first one they give is expanding on your icebreaker. All of us have introduced ourselves once, at least, by the time we're really starting to have difficulty coming up with topics. However, as we saw with John tonight, John covered 30 years of history in 4.5 minutes. Obviously, there are stories in there that we heard snippets of, or that he referred to but really didn't tell us ever happened, that he could use as a future topic about, or just the one that pops to mind, about the problems with alcoholism possibly, as he goes into getting to know his mom twice. Just because it's fresh on everybody's mind, that's why I'm using it. There's no other reason than that. The next one they say is random online searches. Literally grabbing a magazine, pointing to 3 different words on the page, punching them into whatever your favorite search engine is, and seeing what the top result is, and as long as it's appropriate for a work type environment, having that be your topic. The other is to start with a famous quote or saying. Sometimes it just pops to mind. We all have these random quotes or song lyrics or whatever that pop into our head all the time. Instead of just trying to get them out of your head, write it down and later use it as a topic. The one that I personally love the best is going for a walk. You just get up from, I work in a cube that's all gray, with gray walls and a gray ceiling. I'm not joking, if you ever came to my work, that's what it looks like. It is the least creative place in the world. We're engineers, so that's not a problem. We're not supposed to be creative, we're supposed to just solve the problem. But when I'm trying to think creatively, it's hard. But when I get up and just take a walk, even though I'm walking past even more gray cubes and even more gray walls and even more gray ceiling, just the act of getting out of my cube and walking around, for some weird reason, opens up something in your brain that allows you to accept ideas that you wouldn't have accepted before, come up with ideas that you never thought of before, and it also gives you some exercise. So there's no downside of this one. Many times when I'm having problems on my projects, coming up with a way to get the whole team that I'm working with to get along, which generally requires me to have a rousing speech in some meeting, I get up and I take a walk before the meeting trying to figure out what I'm going to say to get the team to stop fighting each other and start working together. So the taking a walk, I have personally found, is the best of all of these. And so I highly encourage you to do that, not just because it's helpful, but also because it's healthy. Of all of them, it's probably the healthiest one. So, if you're ever having problems coming up with a topic, take one of these ways of finding a new topic for you and give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you still don't have a topic, but that's where you were 5 minutes ago. Best case, you have 12. So, unless there are questions, I will relinquish the lecture back to our Toastmasters.
Thomas, that's very helpful. I'm sure everyone has trouble thinking of these topics, especially when you get close to completing your competent communicator. With that, do we have any awards? Okay, so we will now introduce awards for tonight. Thomas.
Okay. For those who weren't here last week, one of our awards was the Smedley Award for getting new members. Some of our new members have not received their pins for Toastmasters International, and those are the awards we are handing out tonight. The first award we'll actually hand out to the man who gave his icebreaker tonight, John Dory. If you gave your icebreaker, you can just sit back down, or you can say a few words if you'd like.
I'll say a few words. I'm not afraid to talk to people, as you may know or may not know. I just want to tell everybody I really enjoy this group. Even a couple weeks prior, we had missed a few meetings, and I kind of was eager to get back and see everybody and kind of continue on my further development. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone. I really enjoy this group, like I said, and I look forward to the future with you all.
Our second, if my notes are correct on these last two, David wrong. I've gotten, okay, so my notes are wrong on that one. I didn't have a check next to your name. Rachel Regal has not received hers yet. She also does not have a check next to her name. I was looking at it this whole time. Rachel, please go.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for putting up with all my ums and ahs and looking at the podium as well. But I do really appreciate coming here every Monday and seeing all of you and growing as a group and having you behind me to support me. So thank you very much.
So if it's not David, it's most likely Lane that hasn't gotten a pin because his name is the one above David's on my list.
Yeah. I got one.
So Lane, will you please come forward?
Thank you. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
There are no more awards for this evening. However, we are approaching, I believe, a few more for some advanced communicators, as well as some of the competent communicators are coming up. And those who have progressed sufficiently far continue their progression. So I will now We will now move into our review of next week's agenda. You will be leading that discussion.
Who wants to be the Toastmaster? Toastmaster.
I'll evaluate. I'll do
January event?
I'll do a first or second.
Oh, first, okay. I can do table compromise. I will. And the general evaluate.
I'll take it. Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Speaker.
I'd like to do one.
Speaker.
I'd like to do one.
Oh,
I'd be rather
thank you.
anybody else wants
That's your third, right, Brent?
to. Fourth.
Fourth.
That's
it. Third?
Yeah, it's your fourth one.
Okay, so just so you know, if Ren continues at this pace, those of you who started while I was starting, he will beat you done.
So we need a
Because
second.
Ren is halfway through in like 3 months.
3 weeks.
What do you need?
Second evaluate.
I could do
Another,
that.
okay.
Anything else?
Thank you.
The primary and people.
I had
No, timer. Primary.
I can do
Primary and the
grammarian.
timer.
I'll do grammarian or
I'll do
timer.
one something.
Someone gave me like
Whatever.
Two grammarians.
Primary.
Mickey says timer.
Timer, okay. Okay, we're done.
Okay, I'm actually gonna add to this. Is there anybody who would like to do the educational overview?
I'll do that one also.
Okay.
Just so you know, for time frame for educational overview, it's like 2 to 3 minutes. So it's like the shortest speech other than table topics. Just because I'd like someone to spread the love on that one. Okay then. Is there something somebody would like to bring forward at the last minute? We're adjourned.